lady who lives very, very close to the incident, being interviewed earlier on this morning. She was saying, whilst it's not yet officially being classed as terrorism, to her, as a Jewish lady, it absolutely is terrorism because she is terrified, as is much of her community. Zia Yusuf, your response?
Well, obviously, my condolences to the Jewish community, but let's be honest about this. The Jewish community feels so unsafe because attacks, anti-Semitic attacks, have been on the rise and have largely been tolerated. Look, we get in this country, you get in a country the behaviour that you tolerate. And I would ask people to cast their minds back to May 2021 when a video got millions of views on social media. Some men in a car marauding through North London with the Palestinian flag on the front of the car, shouting that they wanted to commit unspeakable and disgusting crimes towards Jewish women.
They were talking about raping the daughters and things like that.
Absolutely. And it was sickening. It was disgusting. Millions of people saw it on social media. 4 men were arrested, Michelle. And do you know what the result of it was?
Well, I do, but I won't give it away.
Well, here's the thing. It wasn't just a lenient prison sentence. All charges were dropped. The Crown Prosecutors, the Crown Prosecution Service said that there was, quite, no realistic chance of a prosecution. And so how do you expect people to react to that if you're in the Jewish community? Now, by the way, all of that happened under a Tory government. So if you hear Tories now bleating and pointing at all of the problems they created, then see it through that lens. But, Barry, look, my question to you is, now Labour is in government, Keir Starmer is the Prime Minister. Look, we don't know for sure that this was Iranian-sponsored, right? To be fair. Yes, there's someone online, I get that. Let's see what happens. But here's what we do know. MI5 have confirmed that they have successfully foiled 20 attacks on British soil as a direct result of the IRGC, which is literally, it's basically the terrorist arm, of the international terrorist arm of the Iranian regime. It is absolutely within the gift of the Home Secretary and the Prime Minister to prescribe the IRGC, which even the European Union has done. Obviously, the Americans have done. Why hasn't Keir Starmer done it?
Well, the reason, as I'm sure you know, actually, Zia, is because under the legislation, you can't prescribe an arm of a government.
You've got a walloping majority in Parliament. You can pass whatever legislation you want, Barry.
Before you jump in, that's precisely why they're now putting new legislation to Parliament so that we can prescribe the IRGC. That's exactly what's happening.
Barry, you have been in government since the middle of 2024. You have had more than enough time. Yeah. These terrorist attacks didn't just happen. I mean, yes, this attack on the ambulance happened this morning, but you're a smart man. You know this has been going on for years. The only reason why the IRGC are not prescribed is there is simply not the will from this Labour government to do it.
Well, if that were the case here, then we wouldn't be introducing the legislation to enable it to happen. But actually,
so when is the vote on that going to be?
I don't know. I don't control
about it. No, not you personally, but the Labour government is clearly not serious about it.
It would, if it weren't serious about it, it wouldn't be bringing in the legislation.
When is the legislation being introduced? You can't answer the question.
Well, you've just agreed that I can't answer the question because I'm not in control of the government.
So help my viewers understand that, who may not be across this. When was that process put in place? When was it commenced?
Several months ago, as I understand it, yeah.
And do you think, in your view, that was soon enough?
Well, actually, I was calling for it before, as I'm sure Zia knows. I've been calling for the banning of the IRGC since there was a Tory government. So I absolutely agree we do need to ban them. They are the most despicable organisation, and they are clearly connected with all the terrorist attacks that, not all of them, but many of the terrorist attacks that happen not just in this country, but around the world. It's only relatively recently that other countries have actually banned the IRGC, but I welcome the fact that their legislation enabled them to do that, and that's what we need to do here.
A lot of people I've seen, the suggestion has been lingering for quite some time, but I've seen it amplified again today. They are saying, Zia, that these protests that happen over the weekend, every weekend, should I say, pro-Palestinian, some people call them hate marches. The suggestion is that those kind of events are creating a fertile breeding ground for some people that are almost making it feel like anti-Semitism is somehow OK now.
Well, here's what we know for sure. Here's what we don't need to speculate about. We know for sure. We know that the way the police protests from certain groups is different. So they have said, for example, the pro-Palestine marches, and obviously, look, it goes without saying that the right to protest is sacrosanct in this country. People are free to protest about whatever cause that they want to protest about, including the Israel-Palestine conflict. But what the police have said is that as and when the police identify somebody or see somebody supporting or promulgating support for a terrorist, a prescribed organisation, rather than moving in immediately to make an arrest, Michelle, they hold back and they look at CCTV and then they'll go in later. And that is demonstrably different to the way that they deal with so-called far-right marches. And then you couple that with, as I said, no one has been able to offer a remotely sensible explanation for why, when 4 men are arrested, having shouted, you know that video I'm talking about. Many people here would have seen it. It's burnt into our subconscious. It's one of the most horrific things I've seen in this country. It made me feel ashamed to live in London and to be British. And yet, and when I saw they were arrested, it was like, good, they're going to be arrested, the book's going to be thrown at them, they're going to be removed from the community. In fact, the opposite. Charges were dropped. And so I say it again, you get the behaviour that you tolerate. And if we have a reform government, Nigel's our Prime Minister, I'm the Home Secretary, we will have a zero-tolerance approach to this sort of extremism. What does that mean then?
Would you stop those marches?
Well, here's what we would do. We would allow people to protest, but the moment somebody is supporting a prescribed organisation, of which, by the way, the IRGC would be one and isn't currently, of which, by the way, the Muslim Brotherhood would be one and is not currently, obviously ISIS and all of these other groups, the moment that you support those sorts of organisations or you cross the line into anti-Semitic chanting, for example, absolutely, the police, if I'm Home Secretary, will move in and make those arrests and those people will be prosecuted.
Well, that's very interesting because you will know, Zia, that actually operational matters the Home Secretary does not interfere with. And therefore, what you've just said is that you would be somebody as a Home Secretary, if that were ever your position, who would interfere in the operational matters of the police. This country has had a very proud distinction of keeping separate the politicians from the operational executive policing. And the reason that you, I'm sure, know that police don't go in when there's a crowd is they don't go in if they think that it's going to create greater public disorder. And that's why they hold back, identify the suspects and get them later. It's a sensible thing that the police...
But then why do they not apply that approach to so-called far-right marches where they take the total opposite approach, Barry?
No, they do. They apply the same approach when they think that they can go in and get people without causing greater disorder. They do. But it's an operational matter. What I think will disturb many viewers is to hear you, as somebody from Reform, say that a Reform government would break down that barrier and that you, as a politician, would be directing the police who to go in for, how to actually go about policing those demonstrations, maintaining public order, and you would be the person in charge there, not the police. I think that's a very important distinction that we have in this country, and I hope there will never be a Reform government.
Let me address that directly. I have no hesitation in telling people watching this programme, if we have a Reform government and I'm the Home Secretary, then yes, the things that we are promising and committing to in terms of ending two-tier policing will happen, and there will be no hiding behind quote-unquote operational independence. Barry, what you're advocating for is effectively a police state, which is what we have currently, where the police, no matter what people watching this programme think about the manner in which policing is done in this country, no matter whom they vote for, nothing can ever change, and that is unacceptable. So, of course, I would not be directing the police per se, but absolutely...
Well, you just said you would.
Absolutely.
Sorry, you've changed.
But absolutely...
Are you now saying that you would not...
I will not be giving police day-to-day orders, but I will absolutely set the agenda for the police force. No hesitation in saying that, Barry, because we have had two-tier policing in this country for too long. We have had Tory Home Secretary after Tory Home Secretary write op-eds and talk a great game and not actually deliver anything for the British people.
You don't need to go on, because you've agreed that you've rowed back on what you said.
No, I'm not rowing back on anything. I'm telling you directly that, yes, we will ensure that the government, the duly elected government, are able to direct